We'll do it live.
It's more than that.
Yeah.
There's some curse
F it. We'll do it live.
Yeah.
We'll do it live.
And I love too that whole clip too when the credits go and then you still see him FF and somebody in the background. That just one of the greatest clips of all time. Bill O'Reilly.
That's right.
May he rest in peace from media television. But today we are going to be talking about Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold.
Right.
Two interesting positions. Two guys that have been in the league now for good portion, and different trajectories right now for both of them, and some unknowns with Lamar, some unknowns with Sam, and we'll get into more of those details. But let's start with Lamar Jackson.
Right. So what do we want to start with?
Yeah,
let's just talk about him first.
Right. Go ahead. Let's just talk about the player and who he is as a football player in the NFL, and how we see him as a football player.
Here's how I see him, which is, I don't know, this doesn't coincide.
Yeah, don't worry.
People.
You're with me, player. Let's go.
Okay, player.
Let's say.
First off, we know about his running, all that.
Yeah.
I think he is really underrated as a thrower and as a passer.
Totally agree.
I don't think he has a strong arm. I think he's got a really strong arm. And I'll go back to when he came out.
Is he like a top 10 thrower as far as arm ability in the NFL?
I would say that.
I think so too.
Because we're just talking about throwing, because his motion is compact. He can throw with unbelievable power.
He's getting better as a thrower each year he's been in the league. Yep.
But I'll go back to this. When he's coming out of University of Louisville, of course, I grew up in Louisville, so I kind of followed him a little bit, or quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I really thought about him. And then I watched the tapes, and I just remember going, oh my gosh, it's ridiculous. And it wasn't, the quickness in the running, of course, jumped out. But I could not get over the power on his throws and how he just never really lost control of the football. I'm not saying his decision-making was perfect, but it was there. And I remember it was Adrian Peterson, Barry Sanders, and I swear Lamar Jackson are three of the greatest highlight tapes I've watched about guys coming out of college in my life. And, and I think we just don't look at it that way when you see him in the NFL. But I think he can be a tremendous pocket passer, and you've already heard what I thought about his arm.
I think Lamar is awesome. I've always been a huge fan of Lamar. I am one of those guys that definitely, I feel like, defend him a lot in those, those football talks when you get around your friends or other people, right, that you're watching the game with. I feel like I'm always defending Lamar and people trying to discredit him for whatever reason at the position because he does it differently than what his predecessors did. And that's no fault of his own. Phenomenal athlete. I think his growth at the position as a thrower has been tremendous.
Right.
It's been tremendous. With limited athletic ability around him. I mean, it's not like he's been graced like Jalen Hurts with the ability to have two of the top 10 receivers on the same team, on the same side of the field at one time. He's done a lot with very little. A lot of injuries at the running back position where it's really been a 1-2 punch with them in the backfield and how the game plans were designed early on.
Right.
I think Greg Roman did I feel like Greg Roman gets a bad reputation through
terrible.
this. Greg Roman has done a phenomenal job of helping Lamar become a great NFL football player, helping him win the MVP and what he's done. Now Lamar is just at a different phase of his career where a new coach needs to come in and kind of teach him the next stage, right, of his career, which is being a great pocket passer, allowing him to develop as a thrower more often, expanding the offense in a different way rather than him just in the RPO game and the quarterback runs. Yeah, what's on your mind?
No, I just want to interrupt you just for a second.
Yeah.
So let's think about Lamar. Here's the narrative. They've done nothing to help him. And that is totally not true. Let's see. He comes in the league. They develop a really good offensive line, good tight ends, good running backs, a scheme that nobody has really ever seen. In 2000,
you're right, a very unique scheme.
So they built this thing for him to be, for this offense, to roll through him. All-time rushing numbers. They ran in 2019, I think it was, for more yards than any team in the history of the NFL. So to say they've done nothing to help Lamar is a gross understatement. That's what they did. They saw his strength. They used it. And you said it, Greg Roman, over the last couple years, now injuries have hurt Lamar as far as at the end of the year, but they were trying to transition into more passing and down the field. And I would just say this, and I'll let you go again, is that Lamar, when they gave him more opportunities to throw, he was so aggressive in his decision making. He never sees a play down the field that he can't make. So, man, he's throwing those 40 and 50 yarders like it's, giving away candy at Halloween. And, that's, how the NFL is. You wait, and then do it. You don't go, we're going to keep doing it. So, that's just my first thoughts about Lamar.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with all of those. And that's what's really interesting about it. And just, I think the fact that they haven't been able to get the contract situation done, this is where the question marks come in with the Greg Roman, the lack of talent, this and that, all that kind of stuff. And, I think it's just kind of TV BS, to be honest with you. I think Greg Roman did a great job of bringing him along to this stage of his career. I think he's the guy that had to fall on the sword for their team, just because of the fact that they do need to reinvent themselves a little bit. And it was just easy for them as an organization to kind of say we're parting ways with him and starting new, rather than asking him to do it on his own, kind of like go back to the drawing board and reinvent our team. It's kind of like an easy out for them a little bit that way.
Well,
but Greg Roman, I think, is a phenomenal football coach, and his track record is proven. Lamar and his situation, let's not forget too, like with everyone at home, that the Ravens are one of the few teams that really valued him this highly at the quarterback position. I mean, we can go back in the tape and watch all these mock drafts and how all these experts were saying, maybe he should switch positions, he should play receiver, he should do this, he should do that. And the Ravens were the one that pulled the trigger on him, that gave him the opportunity. As soon as they saw Joe Flacco was kind of teetering off the edge, they put Lamar in and totally reinvented the way that they go about their team and their game. And maybe the contract negotiation with Lamar is a little bit of it's like a sore spot for the Ravens, just because of how it kind of destroyed their team with Joe Flacco and how they paid him after the Super Bowl win. They pay him. Joe Flacco bets on himself, has a fantastic football season, wins the Super Bowl, They beat the 49ers, and actually Greg Roman, who was coaching Colin Kaepernick on the other side of that, did a great job of reinventing the offense for him too. And I feel like that black eye, as far as, they paid Joe, and then their team fell apart very quickly after that, when the years prior to that, they were in AFC Championship every year for what seemed like every other year, them and the Patriots. And unfortunately, they were just in the same division at the same time with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. And they were always at the finals. So I wonder if that has a residual effect on Lamar and his contract.
Maybe a little. I'm not contract savvy, and I don't get into it because, I just let it play out.
It's not what we do.
It's not what we do. Let me just say this too. They've done nothing to help me. Look, they drafted Hollywood Brown in the first round. This will help us. But they weren't ready for that. Rashad Bateman, first round. Was he first or second?
I think he was second round.
He was second. Yeah. Okay. Well, they've tried everything to do that. But let me go back. I'm not just saying this to create any headlines or nothing. If Lamar Jackson doesn't get hurt last year, they were a big-time Super Bowl contender.
For sure.
I mean, think about that team. There they are with their backup in there, who's not playing that well, but he plays tough, Tyler Huntley. But they're a quarterback sneak away from beating the Cincinnati Bengals. And look what happens and how the story changes because of that.
And at the time, Lamar, when he got hurt, he played 12 games this past season. 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had 112 rushing attempts for 764 yards at that time. Averaged 6.8 yards a rush. So even though his running isn't quite as electrifying as it was his first 2 or 3 years in the league, it's still super effective. He's still getting it done on the ground when he needs to. And he was on his way to throw for over 3,000 yards for the season and rush for another 1,000. So that seems like a pretty elite quarterback to me in that situation.
My last thing is they went from the greatest running team in history, and then they're trying to make the transition to be, okay, that's going to die soon. And everybody started copying what they did, and so you get used to it, and you see it a lot, so you have better ways to stop it, stuff like that. But they were making that transition to throwing the football, and they needed him to stay healthy. It didn't work, but you don't go overnight, as Bill Parcells would say, you can't be all in one. You can't be the greatest running team in the league and also the greatest throwing team.
Yeah, you're right.
You can't do that. But they were making that transition. And I get my last thing I'll say about this is just this. Lamar Jackson is so underrated as a thrower and a passer. And before we did this show, I just went back and watched, 50 throws of his, and I went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, his throws can be just as electric as some of his great runs.
Yeah,
So
they definitely are. They definitely are. Yeah, for whatever reason, underappreciated in that light. For whatever, just stuck with the drama.
Well, the
outside
stereotype,
of his
they can't
play.
get over that he's a runner.
Yeah, and just
hold-
we're stuck with the drama. Go ahead.
Well, he got hurt twice, right? In the pocket. I mean,
In
throwing the
pocket
ball.
as a passer.
And Greg Roman told me this, and I'm going to say it. I've never really said that Greg Roman told me this. But he goes, when you're a runner as a quarterback, you determine what kind of hits you want to take.
Yeah.
You don't get blindsided. You don't run down the field and all of a sudden somebody wipes you out as a quarterback running. You're running and your antennas are up and you see it all and feel it all. And of course, he's been running his whole life. So he has a great feel for who's going to hit him and when. And even this past couple of years, I've seen him free and he can go down. All of a sudden, he'll turn to the defender and hit them. Mm-hmm. And I go, oh, why are you doing that for? But, he just probably wanted to turn the tables a little bit. But I really believe that when you run, to me, running and being smart is safer than being in the pocket. Mm-hmm. That's just my thought.
He's an absolute baller. Huge fan of him. Our whole family is a huge fan of Lamar, and we hope this get resolved. With just this contract stuff. Yeah, Christopher was
your brother
was a huge defender of him back when this draft process was going on. He had him ranked as his 1 or 2 quarterback, I think, in the class when he was coming out.
For it.
He got crushed, but then a few years later he wins the MVP at the position. So Lamar, huge fan. Everything about him, the one thing that I think has hurt himself a little bit just with this situation
is what?
He needs an agent. I hate to say it, but just he needs someone that plays good cop, bad cop behind the scenes for him. And I make this reference too just because of Jalen Hurts and Nicole Lynn and what she did as his agent, was able to get what she needed to for her client while still appeasing to what the team thought that they needed to continue to be successful and to not, get stuck in something that they felt like they were handicapped by their ability to grow and evolve as a football team. And, shout out to Nicole Lynn. Unbelievable, offseason for her, unbelievable career and what she's done really too. Yeah, because she's the first black agent to have a starting quarterback in the Super Bowl. And that's an unbelievable thing.
Oh, I didn't know
then
that.
With now Jalen Hurts being able to get him this new contract, she's the president of football at Clutch Sports. So, I would say Lamar, hit her up. Nicole Lynn knows what the hell she is doing because it is unbelievable what she has done, in this past few years with the players that she's been able to evaluate and take under her wing and allow them to grow as football players and as businessmen. So it's super impressive. And that's where I think with Lamar, it's a little bit of that issue. There's just not enough communication and dialogue with someone like a Nicole Lynn being able to go into that war room for you, defend your case, but then also appease to what the team thinks they need at the same time.
I don't think we really know that. What's really going on behind the scenes, I'll just say this and wrapping this up is that I just hope it works out.
I
like watching him play. I think the Ravens are in that window where they can get this done. When I say get it done, I'm talking about winning a lot of games. They figured out their football team. Their defense just got better and better. So they're in a situation right now. I think they're in a great spot. They got to be looking at, man, let's get this done with Lamar. And you're in that, I hate that phrase a little bit, that window. They could win a Super Bowl.
Well,
so
it is a phrase that's real.
It is real.
It is a real thing. And the Ravens do have the ability to stay in that window a little bit longer the more that Lamar is on their football team.
Right.
For sure. And they're just maybe a piece or two away. They got Odell with the acquisition of him. Excuse me.
That's all right.
You
got to
know,
pay attention in school sometimes.
yeah, that's
so I
right.
don't know.
But you know, Odell, a good addition to them. They might go back to that position again here in the draft. I actually would expect them to, with some of the receivers that are available this year. And get Lamar back into that room, working back with that team, get him back going, get him grooving with the new offense. And
Well, that's interesting too. Well, the
you're
new
right.
offense,
You're
it's
right.
going to be different.
It's going to be
Todd
different.
Monken's going to come in there, and he came out of college. He's been in the NFL, but I did like what he did at Georgia.
He's got a ton of experience, and man, he's done a lot of really good stuff
Yeah, he
at
has.
Georgia. And Georgia was running a very NFL-like type
Yes.
of approach to the way that they went about it. So I totally believe in what they can do going forward and being creative.
Well, who else? What we got?
All right, so now we're going to transition into Sam Darnold.
Right.
Sam Darnold, journeyman right now at this time, Jets, Panthers, and now he's in San Francisco. He spent 5 seasons in the league so far. He started 55 games, and it's going to be.
He might have won the lottery.
He won the lottery for sure.
He might have won the lottery
sure.
because if those quarterbacks in San Francisco are not ready, Sam Darnold, I'm not going to say the phrase, well, whatever, Terry Bradshaw said this once, as an NFL quarterback, got to go to hell before you go to heaven. and I just went, that's a pretty good saying.
Yeah.
Because it's rough. I don't care. Unless you're Patrick.
Well, as Winston Churchill would say, when you're in hell, just keep going.
That's right.
And this is true. And he kept going. He kept fighting through the adversity. And Sam Darnold now is, he crawled through miles of shit like Andy Dufresne. And now he is on the other side, clean as a whistle.
No, he is.
And it's pretty exciting for him. With Brock's injury, I project Sam honestly being day one starter for the San Francisco 49ers.
I do too. I think he will be. I think he fits the offense really well. I'm not going to say he has a powerful arm. He has a solid NFL arm, but the ball doesn't get away from him much. He throws beautiful spirals and all that. And I think the fact that he's been through so much stuff, the Jets and what went on in Carolina, what a show that was down there. Oh, you're in this week, you're out. You're in, So that was tough. But he handled himself well. Mm-hmm. And when Steve Wilks took over the football team, when he was the quarterback, I thought he played extremely under control, made a lot of good decisions, and all that, like I said, between experience, struggling and not having success, but then kind of regaining all that, I think, down in Carolina a little bit, and now going to the 49ers. Man, you couldn't ask for a better scenario for a quarterback like him moving around and maybe finding a spot where it's not out of the question. If he starts, plays well, they're not going to take him out.
Yeah.
And who knows what happens from there.
Yeah, it's really curious. He's only 25 years old, so he's
really?
still a young quarterback. Yeah, him and Lamar are 26 and 25 years old.
Ridiculous.
He started 6 games last year for the Carolina Panthers, threw for 1,100 yards. He threw for 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, so performed well, right, in that relief situation there in Carolina.
In a tough offense. In other words, it's not like you get in rhythm throwing the football the way they were playing.
No, they were very run heavy, so it was a lot of just have to make crucial throws and tight situations.
Right.
And the evolution of the San Francisco offense and what they have done in the past few years, I think is really interesting. And it's kind of crazy to think too that Kyle, to me at times now, Kyle Shanahan, excuse me, he's getting away from those obvious run sets and outside zone, play action, boots, and all that kind of stuff. He's starting to spread the football out a little bit more obvious passing situations, especially with their skill set with Deebo Samuel, with Christian McCaffrey. So I find this ability for Sam Darnold to step in there and to just be a great point guard, do well with the typical run game, run checks, and all that kind of stuff that you expect out of that offense. But also to just be a really good point guard in some of their open sets that they run, right? Their open formations that they really get creative as far as getting Christian McCaffrey in really great opportunistic situations.
Yeah, don't you think, as I watched them last year, then when Brock Purdy came in there, all of a sudden, once they kind of settled him in, it seemed like they opened it up.
They did.
And it was moving. They were spreading the field to throw the ball.
There was less those checks and, all that stuff, or as they would say in their offense, cans, right? So the can in the first play, they're going to the second play, or however you want to say it. But just they got away from trying to get in the perfect play all the time and really just started to run plays because they knew that their Johnnies and Joes kind of outweighed the X's and O's.
Wow.
You like that right there. But for Sam Darnold, really, really think that he is in a great situation, very much like a Geno Smith, honestly. Battled through a ton of adversity. Both played for the Jets. Overcame, played for the Jets. All right, it's okay. I was a Jet too once. JT, it's Jets.
Yeah.
And
And
I find it really interesting. I think that he's going to be able to rewrite the narrative of who he has been labeled as by the media and by his career in the past.
Great opportunity. I'm going to ask you a question. So we just did it to do it real quick. So you said Geno Smith is a more talented football player.
Yeah, I agree,
than
for sure.
Sam Darnold. Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you surprised what Geno did last year?
No, I was not.
No,
No.
of course, because you played with him.
We've
knew worked
that
out
Geno,
with him.
He just needed to have an opportunity to do it. And I always told people a lot, like, because everyone, when I played for the Jets, everyone was like, man, you should play. And I'm like, hell yeah, I should play. And I wanted to play, of course, right? But I love Geno, and I always supported Geno, and you know that, and our family knows that. And Geno was always very kind to me, despite the fact of what we were going through as a team and what he was going through personally.
Right.
And or at least not performing to the way that he expected himself to perform.
He was young and not ready.
For sure. And I knew for sure you would see plays in practice like, yeah, this is why he was, supposed to be a first-round draft pick. Because he would make phenomenal football plays. I mean, when we were on the team together, I swear we were some of the best damn throwers in the league. Now, the problem was we were throwing it to the other team sometimes more often than our own team.
Okay.
But, hey, we were young QBs. We were trying to figure it out. And I'm really happy for Geno, too, because he's a great example of a guy that got a second or third chance because he really was super talented and he really could do it. Where you see a lot of other first-rounders get second and third chances just because they were drafted in the first round, right? When they weren't really actually that dude. And I think Geno really is.
What I knew, of course, we knew physically, whatever. I thought he was ready. I bragged about him all preseason. He played well. And people go, why are you so high on Geno Smith? Well, because I know. I mean, when I say I know, I've seen it. I've watched him. And I know it's time. And Pete Carroll's comment, this is what really caught my attention maybe during preseason or before. And he just goes, well, we've seen that talent big time in practice.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see if he takes it to the field. And he did right away.
He did.
All 3 preseason games, did he play 3 or 2? I don't know if they held him out one game or not.
Yeah, I think he played in 3. But nonetheless,
he was
they're
really
not a
good.
playoff football team if he's not their quarterback.
No question.
They're not making the playoffs.
And here's my last thing, and we'll stop here. I know we talked too long. Everybody, they got to get the 5th pick or whatever pick they have early in the first round. They should take a quarterback for the future. No. Quit pushing all these guys out so quick. We got a guy that was an all-pro, comeback player of the year.
Well, I'll say that, it would be good for some of these other guys like an Anthony Richardson who is green at the position, right? He doesn't have a lot of experience. Like, I would say Geno would be a great person for you to learn the game of football under, right? As an example. I'm not saying that they should do that.
No, but I wouldn't want that.
I know.
No, I'm saying, let me say
as
this.
the example, I think it's just you could learn a lot from a guy like Geno.
No
who
question.
has been through what he's been through. He had the raw talent. He's, every year gotten better at being a better pro and a better football player and a better decision maker. And there's a reason why, the Giants benched Eli Manning to play him because he was doing a lot of these things at practice. And I bet you the coaching staff was like,
wow,
we got to play this guy because he's making so many wow football plays. Because I saw it at practice with the Jets.
Right.
Didn't always see it in the game. There were certain games where I did, and I was like, damn, that's G. Keep doing your thing, man. And it's why the quarterback position is so fun, too, because right environment, right coaching staff, Pete Carroll, not caring about what people in our world think about or talk about.
Oh, yeah, they
played the best
know more.
player. And now Geno, got the new contract, and congratulations.
I got to argue with this, though.
Yeah, what?
You don't need to take Anthony Richardson and have him learn.
It was hypothetical, okay?
Oh, no, but that would be the worst thing for him, to sit there all year and watch him.
Right. Well, when we discussed Anthony Richardson, we thought that he was someone that needed to play right away. I was just saying in a hypothetical sense, he was the first guy that I could think of where, you would learn and do really well being around a guy like Geno.
Well, see,
right? Young QBs, you'd be shocked at just how important and how invaluable that experience
understand.
would be.
But see, you're using words that I don't, hypothetical. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I understand. I get it.
So,
I
you know,
get it.
I deal in
Your
really-
Moorhead State education,
I graduated.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And you know what? Hey, we're still at the same table.
Okay,
So what does that
okay.
tell you? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go. What do you got?
So that's really about it today.
That's
We
it.
talked about Lamar. We talked about Sam. I thought that was a good discussion. Really hope that the Lamar thing gets resolved here sooner rather than later for both parties, for Lamar, for the football team, so they can get on track to getting into this Super Bowl race, because the AFC is just loaded with quarterback talent and really talented football teams. I mean, the AFC is just, it's ridiculous. Now that Tom Brady has retired, I mean, who in the NFC, it's like really Jalen Hurts, good for you, but he's like really the only guy that's like, on the top of the mountain as far as the NFC goes. Yeah, go ahead, think about it, right? Like,
Well, no, I have many times. I'm just
all the great QBs right now, other than Jalen Hurts, are in the AFC.
No, I know the AFC is loaded.
It's loaded, so it's crazy to think like the Ravens, they need Lamar back. They do, because it's just a lot of really good football teams that are primed in that window, as we say, to make a Super Bowl run.
All right.
And then, Sam Darnold, excited for him. And Sam Darnold, side note, he's wearing number 0. I don't know if it doesn't even make sense, but he's wearing 0 at San Francisco, so that'll be kind of cool to see out there on the field.
Yeah, I don't know if 0 looks good on anybody. But we'll see.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, okay.
As long as he balls out, it doesn't matter.
No,
what
it'll be
number he's wearing.
then people will want it, but we'll see.
All right,
Good
so
stuff.
if you like this, like the show, hit subscribe. Sims Complete YouTube channel. I mean, look at us. They can't cancel us, baby.
Not yet.
Not yet, but
Okay.
we'll see. We'll do our best. All right, we'll be back.